Chapter 32. Yi Li had only been sitting on the stairs for a short while when 3 White Lotus sect genetic warriors approached. These 3 White Lotus sect genetic warriors were startled. They never expected to find someone sitting on the stairs. Yi Li also took a look at the 3 individuals and noticed that they were all first-rank evolved beings. In Tongcheng, being a first-rank evolved being was considered quite powerful, and there were 3 of them. Unfortunately for them, they had encountered Yi Li. "Brat, what are you doing sitting here?" "I'm waiting for someone." "Waiting? Waiting for whom?" "Waiting for you." Yi Li looked at the 3 White Lotus sect genetic warriors and spoke slowly. The 3 White Lotus sect warriors were taken aback by his words. They didn't understand why Yi Li was waiting for them. Could it be that this brat had some deep grudge against the White Lotus sect? But no matter how they looked at it, Yi Li was just a high-level awakened being. They were first-rank evolved beings, and naturally had the ability to easily kill a high-level awakened being. "Brat, why are you waiting for us?" one of the White Lotus sect genetic warriors shouted. Yi Li's face remained calm, showing no signs of disturbance. "Are you looking for someone named Xiaohui?" Yi Li asked calmly. Upon hearing this, the 3 individuals were once again surprised. "Brat, do you know where Miss Xiaohui is?" asked one of the White Lotus sect genetic warriors. "Of course," Yi Li replied slowly. "So?" An ugly-looking man looked at Yi Li, and after a few seconds he said, "So you're waiting here to take us to see Miss Xiaohui?" Yi Li smiled. "I think I'll take you to another place instead." "What place?" the 3 men asked, puzzled. "The Gate of Hell." Yi Li enunciated each word without hesitation. As he said so, Ada suddenly appeared, throwing a punch infused with the power of thunder and lightning. The fist wind roared. These 3 White Lotus sect genetic warriors were all first-rank evolved beings, and couldn't withstand a punch from Ada. One of the White Lotus sect genetic warriors was instantly punched through, and lost his life forever. The remaining 2 were filled with terror, wanting to escape. They truly wanted to run away. Unfortunately, how could they escape? Ada knocked them down one after another, and the fate of these 2 White Lotus sect genetic warriors was gruesome. These 3 individuals were already dead, and couldn't turn into zombies. But it didn't matter. When genetic warriors turned into zombies, their levels would most likely drop, and they would end up as 7th or 8th level zombies at most. Yi Li were of no interest to zombies of such levels at the moment. Yi Li believed that the White Lotus sect wouldn't send only these few first-rank evolved beings. They must be scattered, searching for Xiaohui in different directions. But he wasn't afraid of the White Lotus sect now. Ada and Hongya were both 3rd-tier zombies and possessed special abilities. Moreover, he now had Zombie Berserk X2. In an emergency, Ada and Hongya each had one. However, this was not a long-term solution. Yi Li didn't know the true strength of the White Lotus sect, and it was dangerous for Xiaohui to stay with him. Since that's the case, Yi Li decided to send Xiaohui to Anan Base City. After all, Anan Base City was a fortified city, and wouldn't fear a small White Lotus sect. Then Yi Li returned to the room and looked at Xiaohui, saying, "I will take you to Anan Base City tomorrow." "What's wrong, senior?" Xiaohui didn't understand why Yi Li suddenly wanted to send her to Anan Base City. "Didn't you always want to go there?" Yi Li looked at Xiaohui and asked in return, "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Chapter 33. Xiaohui looked at Yi Li's face. When she first met Yi Li, she did want him to take her to Anan Base City. But after spending so many days together, she had grown accustomed to being with Yi Li, and no longer wanted to go to Anan Base City. Besides, she had also done those things with Yi Li. "Senior, I want to be with you." Xiaohui mustered up her courage and said those words. However, Yi Li shook his head. "The White Lotus sect is looking for you now. It would be dangerous for you to stay by my side." But, Xiaohui didn't finish her words before Yi Li interrupted her. "There's no need to say any more. I've already decided to take you to Anan Base City." Yi Li looked at Xiaohui and said. Upon hearing this, Xiaohui's fair face became desolate. She knew that she had no power to refute Yi Li's decision. The next day, Yi Li opened the zombie treasure chests, and then took Xiaohui to the streets. Today the streets were unusually quiet, with no zombies in sight. Yili wondered if he had already dealt with all the zombies in the East District of Tongcheng. According to Yili's knowledge, there were several 100 billion humans in this world, and 70% of them had turned into zombies. One could imagine how massive the number of zombies would be. Senior, are we really going to Ananbei City? Xiaohui looked pitifully at Yili, hoping to stay by his side. Brat, Miss Xiaohui, you have finally shown yourselves. A sudden loud shout reached Yili's ears. He followed the voice, and looked up to see 5 people standing on the 6th floor of a building. These 5 people were all dressed in white robes, with the 3 blood-red characters of the White Lotus sect embroidered on their robes. And leading them was Guardian Scorpion. Swish, swish, swish. Several piercing sounds echoed as Guardian Scorpion and the 4 White Lotus sect genetic warriors jumped down, landing about 10 steps away from Yili. Except for Guardian Scorpion, the remaining 4 were all first-rank evolved beings. At this moment, Guardian Scorpion had a gloating expression on his face. In his opinion, Yili was already dead meat. Brat, you didn't expect to encounter me again, did you? Guardian Scorpion sneered at Yili. Yes, I indeed didn't expect that. I didn't expect that you would come to your own death, Yili replied calmly. Upon hearing these words, Guardian Scorpion's face instantly darkened. He couldn't understand why, even in this situation, Yili could remain so indifferent. Brat, where is your 3rd-tier zombie? Why don't you call it out? Guardian Scorpion coldly shouted. Now, Yili was just alone, merely a small advanced awakened being. Nothing worth mentioning in his eyes. Yili shook his head. Why did Guardian Scorpion enjoy being slapped in the face so much? Was being slapped in the face really that enjoyable? Do you really want to see my strength? Yili looked at Guardian Scorpion calmly. Since the last time when Yili had let Ada beat up Guardian Scorpion and made him flee for his life, Xiaohui knew that Yili was almost invincible now. She was no longer afraid of the White Lotus sect. Brat, at this point, why are you still pretending? You're just a small advanced awakened being. Display your strength. I suggest you stop pretending and just come to your death. Guardian Scorpion sneered at Yili. Ha ha ha. After speaking, Guardian Scorpion, along with the 4 White Lotus sect genetic warriors, burst into laughter. As the saying goes, one reaped what one sowed. Since Guardian Scorpion was determined to court death, Yili had no choice but to grant his wish. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 34. Guardian Scorpion swore that he had never felt this triumphant in his entire life. If it were any other advanced awakened being, they would probably be scared to the point of wetting themselves when facing him. But Yili made him suffer time and time again. How could he, a dignified guardian of the White Lotus sect, bear with it? But now things were different. He could finally seek revenge. Come on, brat. Let me kill you. Guardian Scorpion beckoned with his finger towards Yili. Yili smiled faintly. Come out, Ada and Hongya. Immediately, Ada and Hongya emerged from the system space. What? Seeing this scene, Guardian Scorpion and the 4 genetic warriors of the White Lotus sect couldn't help but gasp in shock. They stared wide-eyed at Ada and Hongya. Ada and Hongya both had blue eyes. Both were 3rd-tier zombies. Guardian Scorpion's heart was filled with shock. The last time he only saw Ada, but he could never have imagined that Yili actually had 2 3rd-tier zombies. The 4 genetic warriors of the White Lotus sect were so scared that they lost their wits. 3rd-tier zombies, these are 3rd-tier zombies. They were only 1st-rank evolved beings. Facing 2 3rd-tier zombies, they were like ants. Let's talk it out. Let's talk it out. Guardian Scorpion quickly begged Yili for mercy. Yili sneered inwardly. After all, Guardian Scorpion was a 3rd-tier evolved being. Why did he have no demeanor of the strong at all? Indeed, surviving in the post-apocalyptic world was not easy. Compared to life, dignity was not important at all. Unfortunately, you repeatedly courted death. If I don't let you die, then I wouldn't be Yili, he said calmly. As he spoke, Yili gave orders to Ada and Hongya. Turn them all into zombies. Ada and Hongya flew out, and Hongya was incredibly fast. When Yili chose zombie attributes for Hongya, he chose the speed attribute. In an instant, the 4 genetic warriors of the White Lotus sect were frozen by Hongya's frost chi. Seeing this, Guardian Scorpion tried desperately to escape. But how could Ada and Hongya let him? Guardian Scorpion was surrounded by Ada and Hongya, and he could only draw his scorpion tail knife. Unfortunately, Guardian Scorpion stood no chance against Ada and Hongya alone. Suddenly, Ada and Hongya attacked. Yili, our White Lotus Sect's junior leader, by Wawa, has already arrived in Tongsheng. If you dare do anything to me, you... Ah! Guardian Scorpion let out a heart-wrenching scream. Xiaohui quickly covered her ears. The sound of such a scream was truly hair-raising. Third-tier zombies bit quickly, not to mention 2 third-tier zombies. Guardian Scorpion instantly turned into a zombie. Yili took a look and saw that Guardian Scorpion had become a second-tier zombie. There was nothing he could do. When a genetic warrior turned into a zombie, their level would definitely regress. Hongya also turned the 4 frozen White Lotus Sect genetic warriors into zombies. All 4 became 8th level zombies. Yili synthesized them into a 10th level zombie. After putting them into the system space, Yili thought about the last sentence Guardian Scorpion said before turning into a zombie. Bai Wawa arrived in Tongsheng? Yili had heard Xiaohui mention it. If Bai Wawa assimilated Xiaohui, he would become a 4th rank evolved being. That meant Bai Wawa was currently only a 3rd rank evolved being. As a 3rd rank evolved being, Yili was naturally not afraid of him. Senior, did you turn Guardian Scorpion into a zombie? Xiaohui looked at Yili and asked. Yes. Yili nodded. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 35. Xiaohui blinked her eyes, and a hint of joy appeared on her fair face. But immediately, Xiaohui seemed to remember something, and her face became a little fearful. Senior, just now Guardian Scorpion said that Bai Wawa has come to Tongsheng. Xiaohui looked at Yili and said. Bai Wawa was the junior leader of the White Lotus Sect, a 3rd rank evolved being, just a step away from becoming a 4th rank evolved being. Are you afraid of him? Yili looked at Xiaohui and asked. Xiaohui quickly nodded and whispered. When I was in the White Lotus Sect, he was the one I feared the most. Yili chuckled inwardly. If he hadn't encountered Bai Wawa, it would have been fine. But if he did, he would show Bai Wawa what true terror meant. Let's go, Yili said. With that, Yili and Xiaohui continued their journey towards Ananbei City. There was still some distance between Ananbei City and Tongsheng. Yili and Xiaohui were currently still in the East District of Tongsheng. Strangely, there wasn't a single zombie on the entire road. The cawing of crows could be heard from time to time, sending shivers down one's spine. Hee, Miss Xiaohui, we had a hard time finding you. A coquettish voice sounded, and Yili followed the voice to see a woman sitting on a tree not far away on the left. The woman wore a white robe and had a voluptuous figure, with a hint of fox-like charm. Guardian Fox, Xiaohui said in a frightened tone as she looked at the woman. Yili observed Guardian Fox. Like Guardian Scorpion, she was also a 3rd rank evolved being. Suddenly, Guardian Fox moved swiftly and appeared in front of Yili. Boy, you're quite handsome, but being handsome alone is useless. You need to be strong. You're just a high-level awakened being. I don't suppose you're thinking of being a hero and saving the beauty, are you? Hee. Guardian Fox was taken aback, unable to understand why Yili was still laughing. Why are you laughing, boy? Guardian Fox looked at Yili in confusion. Do you know how disgusting you are? Yili slowly spoke to Guardian Fox. What did you say? Guardian Fox widened her eyes, feeling as if she had misheard. Yili laughed again, and after a few seconds he continued. So not only are you disgusting in appearance, but you're also deaf. Guardian Fox couldn't react for a moment. As one of the esteemed guardians of the White Lotus Sect, who would dare to say that she was disgusting in appearance? You say I'm disgusting? Guardian Fox simply couldn't believe what she was hearing. Do you think you're not disgusting? Yili retorted. Good, very good. Guardian Fox coldly replied. If you insist on seeking death, then I'll grant your wish. As she spoke, Guardian Fox struck out with a palm, unleashing a red heart-shaped attack towards Yili. When Guardian Fox struck out with this palm, she wore a cold smile. She wanted to make Yili understand that the only fate for those who offended her was death. However, Guardian Fox was destined to be disappointed, because 2 figures appeared in front of Yili. To be precise, 2 zombies appeared. Both of these zombies had blue eyes. Just as the heart-shaped attack was about to reach Yi Li, it suddenly froze. Guardian Fox saw this situation and quickly retreated more than 10 meters. Third-tier zombies? Guardian Fox widened her eyes. She couldn't have imagined that there would be 2 third-tier zombies in front of Yi Li. Moreover, these 2 third-tier zombies seemed to be on the same side as this brat. Guardian Fox couldn't believe it. She truly couldn't believe that this was real. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 36. With her experience, she had never seen or even heard of such a thing before. Ada Hongya, take care of her. Yi Li gave the command to Ada and Hongya. As the command was given, Ada and Hongya rushed forward. He would never give any special care to beautiful women, especially in the post-apocalyptic world. The attacks from Ada and Hongya were overwhelming for Guardian Fox to defend against. Just as Ada's punch was about to hit Guardian Fox, a child suddenly appeared in front of her. This child blocked Ada's punch and took Guardian Fox to a relatively safe distance. Ada, Hongya, wait. Ada and Hongya stopped and returned to Yi Li's side. Yi Li observed the child next to Guardian Fox. The child had unnaturally white skin, resembling a porcelain doll, and looked very adorable. Bai Wawa, Xiao Hui exclaimed in panic. Yi Li was slightly taken aback by her words. He originally thought that Bai Wawa was just a name, but he didn't expect the White Lotus sect's junior leader to be such a young child. Xiao Hui, it's been a while. Feels like ages since we last met. Bai Wawa grinned at Xiao Hui. You, Xiao Hui's face turned ghastly pale. Yi Li gave Xiao Hui a reassuring smile, telling her not to be afraid. So, you're the Yi Li mentioned by Guardian Scorpion? Bai Wawa narrowed his eyes and asked Yi Li. Yes, young one. Yi Li nodded. Young one? I'm much older than you, okay? Bai Wawa smiled innocently, but there was a hint of viciousness in his eyes. Yi Li understood upon hearing Bai Wawa's words. He had thought that Bai Wawa was really just a child, but it seemed that he had some kind of rejuvenation secret technique. If Bai Wawa was truly only 7 or 8 years old, possessing such genetic talents, he would be an incredible existence. Xiao Hui, come back with me. You have only one fate, to be assimilated by me. Bai Wawa said with a smile. No, I won't. Xiao Hui shook her head hurriedly. It was evident that Bai Wawa had caused significant psychological trauma to her. I've already told you. You have only one fate. Why don't you believe it? Bai Wawa shook his head. Yi Li smiled. Bai Wawa, it seems you don't take me, Yi Li, seriously. Bai Wawa was puzzled by Yi Li's words. You're just a minor awakened being. Why should I take you seriously? Oh right. You still have 2 third-tier zombies. But Guardian Fox and I are both third-rank evolved beings. Do you think you have a chance of winning? Bai Wawa looked at Yi Li playfully. Of course. Yi Li said calmly. Upon hearing this, Bai Wawa clenched his teeth and shouted. What if I add another third-rank evolved being? Guardian Tiger, come out. As the words fell, a middle-aged man walked over slowly. The man had tiger patterns on his face, giving off a domineering aura. Another third-rank evolved being. Brat, do you still think you have a chance now? Bai Wawa stared at Yi Li. Not enough. Yi Li shook his head slowly. Brat, I see that you won't shed tears until you see your own coffin. Bai Wawa was furious like never before. I, Yi Li, won't shed tears even when I see my coffin because they'll never see my coffin. Yi Li said indifferently. Bai Wawa, upon hearing these words, burst into a rage. What if I add another third-rank evolved being? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 37. As he said so, another rank 3 guardian appeared. He was also a middle-aged man, with a ferocious wolf pattern on his face. With Bai Wawa, there were a total of 4 rank 3 evolved beings on Bai Wawa's side. On Yi Li's side, Ada and Hongya were tier 3 zombies. With 4 against 2, it seemed that Yi Li's side was bound to lose. Now what, brat? Bai Wawa stared at Yi Li. Bai Wawa didn't believe that Yi Li wasn't afraid. From the bottom of his heart, he believed that Yi Li was just pretending to be calm. It's still not enough. Yi Li shook his head slowly again. Brat, you? Bai Wawa's eyes turned red with anger as he stared at Yi Li. I guess you have one more guardian, right? Yi Li said casually. Brat, have you encountered Guardian Scorpion? Guardian Fox looked at Yi Li in confusion, asking, "Not only did I encounter him, but I also turned him into a zombie," Yi Li responded. "What?" As soon as he said these words, Bai Wawa and the 3 White Lotus Guardians were all stunned. "Brat, you turned Guardian Scorpion into a zombie?" Bai Wawa stared at Yi Li. "You don't believe it?" Yi Li shrugged. "Of course I don't believe it," Bai Wawa said coldly. Yi Li curled his lips, thinking that since you don't believe it, then let me show you. Immediately, Yi Li released Guardian Scorpion from the system space. Bai Wawa and his group were astonished when they saw this. They would rather believe that the sky was about to fall than believe that Yi Li had turned Guardian Scorpion into a zombie. How did he do that? Junior leader, stop wasting time with this brat. We have an absolute advantage. Just kill this brat and take Miss Xiaohui back, Guardian Tiger said to Bai Wawa. Bai Wawa thought to himself, yes, why should I waste time talking nonsense with a minor awakened being? Attack! Bai Wawa shouted coldly. Guardian Tiger, Guardian Wolf, and Guardian Fox rushed forward, their speed astonishingly fast. With 3 rank 3 evolved beings, they indeed had an absolute numerical advantage, but unfortunately, they overlooked one thing. This one thing was enough to cost them their lives. Fuse. Yi Li fused Zombie Berserk X2 into Ada and Hongya respectively. After the fusion of Zombie Berserk, their combat power would increase tenfold within 10 minutes. At this moment, red spiritual light wrapped around Ada and Hongya, making them look extremely intimidating. Boom! Ada unleashed the earth-shattering fist, enhanced by wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. This punch seemed to shatter the space itself. Hongya moved with incredible speed, attacking with her frost chi. A tier 3 zombie with 10 times enhanced combat power was undeniably terrifying. Guardian Tiger, Guardian Wolf, and Guardian Fox wanted to retreat, but it was already too late. I'm done. Ah! After being frozen by Hongya's frost chi, the 3 of them were then shattered into pieces by Ada's punch. Seeing this scene, Bai Wawa was terrified and quickly fled. In an instant he disappeared without a trace. Yi Li did not choose to pursue him. He could have chased after him, but there was no need. At this point, Xiaohui was already dumbfounded. She thought that even Bai Wawa had fled for his life. Ada and sister Hongya were truly formidable. But even more formidable was Senior, the master of Ada and Hongya. At this moment, Yi Li's face remained calm as if nothing had happened. He stored Ada and Hongya in the system space, and then looked at Xiaohui, slowly uttering 2 words. Let's go. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 38. After several days of traveling, Yi Li and Xiaohui were finally approaching the outskirts of Anan Bay City. At this moment, Yi Li and Xiaohui were walking on a concrete road with no buildings around. They just needed to continue straight ahead to reach the outskirts of Anan Bay City. Haha, killing those zombies was so satisfying. That's right, young Master Yin is a level 5 awakened being. Killing those zombies is a breeze. Absolutely, young Master Yin is amazing. A burst of fawning voices came from behind Yi Li, but Yi Li didn't even turn his head. He continued walking forward with Xiaohui. Young Master Yin, there are people ahead. A teenager said to a handsome and extraordinary young man. This handsome brat was none other than young Master Yin. Young Master Yin looked at Yi Li and Xiaohui not far ahead, smiled, and thought they were probably going to Anan Bay City. Let's go and have a look. This group of teenagers looked to be around 15 or 16 years old, and they all had an air of elegance that indicated their extraordinary background. Naturally, Yi Li heard their conversation, but he paid no attention. But they were talking about how satisfying it was to kill zombies? After some thought, Yi Li figured out. In the outskirts of the base city, zombies were usually kept for young genetic warriors to kill, but there would generally be strong protectors by their side. Before long, this group of teenagers was only a few steps away from Yi Li and Xiaohui. You stop! Young Master Yin shouted. Senior, someone is telling us to stop, Xiaohui whispered to Yi Li. Just ignore them, Yi Li said. Yi Li didn't need to think to know why this group of teenagers wanted them to stop. It was nothing more than wanting to show off their superiority. But he didn't have time to deal with these little brats. Seeing that Yi Li and Xiaohui ignored his words, Young Master Yin instantly became angry. I told you to stop, didn't you hear me? Young Master Yin shouted at Yi Li and Xiao Hui again. Seeing that Yi Li and Xiao Hui still showed no intention of stopping, 5 or 6 teenagers hurriedly ran in front of them. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear young Master Yin telling you to stop? One of the teenagers coldly said to Yi Li and Xiao Hui. Young Master Yin now stood in front of them, staring at Yi Li and Xiao Hui. Give me an explanation. Young Master Yin stared at Yi Li. Yi Li couldn't understand why trouble always seemed to find him for no reason. These little brats really didn't know their place. Hee hee. Yi Li smiled indifferently. What are you laughing at? Young Master Yin glared at Yi Li. Yi Li calmly looked at the so-called young Master Yin and slowly spoke. You think you deserve an explanation from me? Silence, a long silence. These teenagers stood there motionless like statues. They were all prestigious disciples of renowned families in Annan-based city. Since birth, they had been treated like stars. And no one dared to speak to them like this. What did you say? Young Master Yin was the first to snap out of his daze, staring at Yi Li intently. Move aside. You're just a small ordinary awakened being, Yi Li said with some disinterest. These words were like needles. A small ordinary awakened being? He was a level 5 awakened being, just a step away from becoming an advanced awakened being. Fine, fine, fine. Young Master Yin repeated the word fine 3 times, indicating his anger at that moment. Then let me, this small ordinary awakened being, show you what regret feels like. Young Master Yin said coldly. Are you serious? Yi Li asked indifferently, his arms folded. Of course I'm serious. Young Master Yin stared at Yi Li firmly. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 39. Young Master Yin. Knock this brat down and show him how formidable you are. Brat, how dare you challenge young Master Yin? He can knock you out with a single punch. Wise enough, Xiao Hui stepped aside, her inner emotions unaffected. On the contrary, she felt a bit amused. She knew very well that this brat called young Master Yin was no match for Yi Li. Suddenly, young Master Yin raised his fist and fiercely struck towards Yi Li. The group of youngsters watched Yi Li with pity, because they knew the consequences of offending young Master Yin. Yi Li stood motionless, as if he hadn't even seen the punch coming. Young Master Yin smiled triumphantly, thinking that Yi Li was frightened out of his senses. When the punch was inches away from Yi Li suddenly opened his palm and grabbed young Master Yin's fist. Young Master Yin felt Yi Li's hand like steel, and in that instant, he felt excruciating pain. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Yi Li really didn't want to bother with these brats, but they insisted on provoking him. What could he do? With a casual flick, he sent young Master Yin flying several meters away, then continued walking forward without looking back. Xiao Hui quickly followed suit. Wait for me, senior. Xiao Hui blinked her eyes. It was over so quickly that she hadn't fully reacted yet. The group of youngsters hurriedly helped young Master Yin up. Young Master Yin, are you okay? Young Master Yin was a bit stunned. Was he instantly defeated? In other words, that person was an advanced awakened being? The other youngsters also couldn't believe it. They wore bitter smiles on their faces. They had originally thought Yi Li was a bronze-level player, but they hadn't expected him to be a king-level player. Young Master Yin felt a bitter taste in his mouth, and immediately made a decision that none of the other youngsters had anticipated. He started running, apparently intending to catch up with Yi Li and Xiao Hui. This sudden dash frightened the other youngsters. They thought young Master Yin was going to confront Yi Li recklessly. They quickly followed suit and ran after them. Xiao Hui heard the sound of footsteps running, and turned her head. Senior, they're catching up. Yi Li also heard the sound of running, which surprised him. He hadn't expected these youngsters to dare to catch up with him. Young Master Yin ran up to Yi Li, panting, and looked at him saying, I was too rude earlier. I hope you don't mind. If possible, I would like to be friends with you, young Master Yin continued. Yi Li didn't expect young Master Yin to say such words, which made him regard young Master Yin in a different light. He had thought young Master Yin was just a spoiled brat. The group of youngsters was dumbfounded upon hearing young Master Yin's words. Thankfully, young Master Yin didn't come to fight Yi Li, or else the consequences would have been unimaginable. Although Yili had some respect for young Master Yun now, it didn't mean he wanted to be friends with him. "I'm not interested in being friends with you," Yili said slowly. Young Master Yin felt a bit embarrassed after hearing that. However, he had been deeply impressed by Yili's demeanor just now, even though he didn't understand why he suddenly admired Yili so much. As he lay on the ground, he watched Yili walking away. In that instant, he felt as if a demon-slaying deity had descended from the heavens. "My name is Yin Feng. You must be heading to Ananbei City, right? I can take you there," Yin Feng said cautiously, looking at Yili. The group of youngsters became even more dumbfounded. Why did young Master Yin seem to be treating Yili like an idol? Weren't they supposed to be enemies? "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 40. After some consideration, Yili thought that since he was unfamiliar with Ananbei City, it would be good to have someone show him the way. "All right," Yili nodded. A look of joy instantly appeared on Yin Feng's face, and he had completely forgotten what had just happened. Even Yili was somewhat surprised by this scene. He wondered if Yin Feng might be gay, and had fallen in love with him at first sight. But then Yili shook his head, thinking how could he have such a twisted thought. Soon after, Yin Feng activated the guiding mode. Before long, they arrived at the outskirts of Ananbei City. The outer city was a defensive fortification, with many laser cannons mounted on the walls, and numerous soldiers guarding them, all equipped with powerful laser guns. "Young Master Yin, you're back. How did it go this time?" A man wearing a second lieutenant-ranked military uniform on the city wall asked young Master Yin. "It went fine. Let us in first," Yin Feng said to the second lieutenant on the wall. "All right, young Master Yin." The second lieutenant nodded. With that, a small door next to the main city gate opened. "Let's go in," Yin Feng said to Yili. Upon hearing this, Yili and Xiao Hui entered through the small door. The outer city was just a defensive fortification, still some distance from the main city. But inside the outer city, there were vehicles. Clearly, this group of young people had come by car. They got into their own cars, and Yili and Xiao Hui got into Yin Feng's car, heading towards the main city. "What should I call you?" Yin Feng suddenly asked. "Just call me Yili," Yili replied slowly. He didn't want Yin Feng to call him Senior or Brother Yi, as it would make him feel too familiar with Yin Feng. Before long, Yili caught sight of the main city of Ananbei City. The appearance of the city looked similar to other Chinese cities, except its defense was much stronger. After all, in this parallel world, both technology and everything else surpassed the Earth by far. Upon entering the inner city of Ananbei City, it appeared to be inhabited mostly by ordinary people, living a life similar to that in China. There were occasional military patrols, with soldiers all carrying laser guns. These soldiers were just ordinary people, as becoming an awakened being required a minimum of D-class genes. Undoubtedly, Ananbei City was very large, really enormous. The buildings were also towering, such that if this were on Earth, it would undoubtedly be the first city. "Yili, do you have any place to go?" Yin Feng asked. "No," Yili said. "Well, why don't you go to my place first?" Yin Feng continued. Yili pondered for a few seconds and then said, "All right." Yin Feng drove the car and headed towards a certain location. The car arrived at a mansion, and there were many such mansions. One would have to walk around personally to truly understand how large they were. Yin Feng got out of the car and turned his face towards a screen at the entrance gate. After a successful face recognition, the gate opened automatically. The car continued driving inside, and before long, they finally arrived in front of a building that was difficult to describe. If one had to describe it, the only way would be to call it a palace. "Young master, you're back," a servant said to Yin Feng. "Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining a random lottery draw." Surprises always came unexpectedly. The roulette in his mind started spinning, and a few seconds later, the pointer stopped. "Congratulations, host, for obtaining healing art. Healing art can treat difficult and miscellaneous ailments." Yili didn't expect to acquire a skill. It was an auxiliary skill, but he felt it was not very useful. However, it was better than nothing, so Yili took the healing art. Ding! healing art automatically reaches its maximum level. There was no change in Yi Li's expression, because he felt that the healing art was useless to him. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 41. Why are you here? Yi Li, let's go inside, Yunfeng said, looking at Yi Li. Yi Li nodded and walked in with Xiaohui. Yunfeng's house was truly magnificent, exuding a sense of grandeur. After Yi Li and Xiaohui sat down, Yunfeng looked at one of the servants and asked, "Where is my father?" "Young master, the master went to Divine Physician Bei's place." Yunfeng sighed at the reply. "Is there really no cure to my father's injury?" Yun Mu, the head of the Yun family, and one of the top 10 powerhouses in the Anan-based city, had suffered severe injuries in a battle with the leader of the White Lotus sect many years ago, left with hidden ailments that were now becoming more and more serious. "Xiaofeng, how did you perform today?" A voice, as melodious as a warbler singing, reached Yi Li's ears. That voice, Yi Li strangely felt a sense of familiarity to it. Following the sound, a ponytailed girl appeared before Yi Li's eyes. It was none other than Yun Man, whom Yi Li had saved in the eastern district of Copper City. "Senior, why are you here?" Yun Man was astonished, rubbing her eyes, finding it hard to believe it was real. Yi Li was also taken aback. Who could have imagined that Yun Man was Yun Feng's sister? What a small world. "Sister, do you know each other?" Yun Feng asked Yun Man with a puzzled expression. "He is the senior who saved my life in Tongcheng," Yun Man replied. Yun Feng was even more astonished upon hearing this. Yun Man had mentioned that senior more than once, but he never expected that the senior was actually Yi Li. "Yun Man, where is your teacher?" Yi Li asked Yun Man. He had come to the Anan-based city to bring Xiaohui here, and didn't intend to stay long. "Elder, are you referring to Ms. Malin?" Yun Man asked. "Yes," Yi Li nodded, looking at Yun Man. "My teacher should be at the Anan Academy," Yun Man said, looking at Yi Li. "Let her come and see me," Yi Li spoke slowly. Yun Man was taken aback. "Senior, do you know Ms. Malin? Don't ask too many questions, just let her come and see me." Yun Man nodded in astonishment, and immediately contacted Malin through the communication device. "Ms. Malin, the senior wants to see you." Yun Man spoke a few words to Malin, and then ended the call. "Senior, why did you come to the Anan-based city?" Yun Man's words were interrupted by Yi Li. "I've brought Xiaohui here and will be leaving soon," Yi Li said. Yun Man looked at Xiaohui upon hearing this, and noticed that Xiaohui was around the same age as her, and quite cute. "Hello, my name is Yun Man." As she spoke, Yun Man extended her hand. My name is Xiaohui." Xiaohui was actually a little flattered. She had thought that young ladies from wealthy families like Yun Man would be very arrogant. "Senior, Xiaohui is an ordinary person, right?" Yun Man looked at Yi Li and asked. Yi Li nodded, but didn't say much in response. Not long after, a woman in her 20s walked in. The woman was Malin. If Yi Li hadn't given Malin the super life potion to drink that day, she probably wouldn't have seen the sun the next day. Why are you here?" Malin clearly didn't expect Yi Li to be here. Yun Man had only referred to him as a senior in their communication, so she didn't know that the senior Yun Man mentioned was Yi Li. Yi Li smiled faintly. "What do you think?" Malin regained her composure, and remembered that Yi Li asked her for treasures that day. "Did he come for the treasures this time?" "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 42. Divine Physician Bai, are you here for treasures? Malin looked at Yi Li tentatively. Yi Li slowly shook his head. "No." "Then what is it?" Malin looked puzzled. "I'm entrusting someone to you now," Yi Li said. "Xiaohui, she will be your teacher from now on." Xiaohui was stunned. "Senior, Yi Li raised his hand and stopped Xiaohui from speaking. "You want refuse, right?" Yi Li looked at Malin and said lightly. Malin looked at Yi Li, just like when she first saw her. Yi Li's eyes were unforgettable for anyone. They were as tranquil as the night, and as deep as the sea. "Don't worry. I'll take good care of her," Malin said. Yi Li was her lifesaver, so of course she would agree. "From now on, just live here well," Yi Li said to Xiaohui slowly. Xiaohui's eyes were already teary, and she couldn't bear to be separated from Yi Li. "Why is it so lively?" Another voice reached Yili's ears. Yili followed the voice and saw a middle-aged man striding in. The middle-aged man had an imposing demeanor, with sharp sword-like eyebrows, a pair of fierce eyes and a pale golden face. A level 4 evolved being. Yili thought to himself. However, Yili narrowed his eyes and realized that he could actually see the injuries hidden on the middle-aged man's body. It must be because of the healing art. The middle-aged man's name was Yin Mu, the father of Yin Man and Yin Feng, and one of the top 10 powerhouses in the Anan-based city. Dad, have you met Divine Physician Bai? Yin Man looked at Yin Mu and asked. Divine Physician Bai has something to attend to. He will come tomorrow, Yin Mu replied. By now, it was already late in the day, with the moon and stars shining brightly. The next day, Yili was about to leave, but before he left, he decided to heal Yin Mu's injuries. After all, Xiao Hui had no family or friends here, so this was a way for Yili to do something for her. Just as he was about to speak, a dozen voices sounded at the door. Divine Physician Bai. This time, all our famous doctors in the Anan-based city have been invited to treat Master Yun's illness. Do you think we can cure it? Of course. Divine Physician Bai is the #1 physician in Anan-based city. Yes, there's no illness that Divine Physician Bai can't cure. Yin Mu hurriedly went out to greet them, clasping his fists towards Divine Physician Bai. Divine Physician Bai, welcome. Divine Physician Bai was around 60 years old. Although he was only a Tier 1 evolved being, his status in the Anan-based city was definitely high. Besides, Divine Physician Bai was from the secluded organization, Medicine God Hall, so no one dared to provoke him. Even a powerhouse like Yin Mu was only on par with Divine Physician Bai in terms of status. Master Yin, no need to be polite. Divine Physician Bai returned the greeting with a bow. The dozen or so people were all famous doctors in the Anan-based city. After Yin Mu invited them to take their seats, Divine Physician Bai looked at Yin Mu and said, Master Yin, I heard that you obtained a hidden illness after the battle with the leader of the White Lotus sect back then? Divine Physician Bai looked at Yin Mu and asked. Yes, I was seriously injured in that battle. Yin Mu replied. Master Yin, extend your hand and let me take your pulse. Yin Mu extended his hand, and Divine Physician Bai began to feel his pulse. The other dozen or so doctors all looked at Divine Physician Bai, wanting to hear his insights. My injuries. Before Yin Mu could speak, Divine Physician Bai interrupted him. Divine Physician Bai let out a deep sigh and said, Master Yin, although you may seem strong on the surface, you are actually critically ill. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 43:1 Can cure your hidden illness. As soon as he said this, Yin Man and Yin Feng instantly became anxious. Miracle Physician Bai, can my father's injuries still be cured? Yin Man hurriedly asked. It's difficult, very difficult. Miracle Physician Bai shook his head. Seeing that even Miracle Physician Bai shook his head, the dozen or so doctors didn't even need to think to know how serious Master Yun's hidden illness was. Miracle Physician Bai, you must save my father. Yin Man's fair face was filled with anxiety. Forget it, Xiao Man, I'm well aware of my own injuries. Yili smiled inwardly. He didn't speak at first, because he wanted to see the so-called Miracle Physician Bai's medical skills. He thought they would be remarkable, but they turned out to be nothing special. Master Yin, I can treat your hidden illness, Yili slowly spoke up. He didn't have time to listen to these doctors continue their useless chatter. If they could treat the illness, treat it. If they couldn't, just say so directly. Why bother with these useless discussions? As soon as Yili said this, the world instantly focused on him. You can cure Master Yun's hidden illness? Miracle Physician Bai stared at Yili. It's really the biggest joke in the world. Even Miracle Physician Bai is helpless. What can a brat like you do? A grain of rice believes it can shine like a pearl. What a joke. The doctors who came with Miracle Physician Bai all started mocking and taunting Yili. Heh, what I'm capable of, how would you know? Yili looked at the group of doctors disdainfully. Silence, a deathly silence. Miracle Physician Bai, along with these doctors, couldn't even begin to imagine that Yili would dare to speak such words. Brat, do you know who you are talking to? A doctor stared at Yi Li and shouted coldly. Yi Li really didn't want to waste time with these people. He looked at Yun Mu. Master Yun, you decide whether you want me to treat you or not. Oh well, Yun Mu hesitated. He didn't know Yi Li, and besides, considering Yi Li's age, Dad, I think you should let Senior give it a try. Senior is very powerful, Yun Man said as she looked at Yi Li. Actually, you don't have to choose to let me treat you. It doesn't matter to me either way, Yi Li said calmly. If it weren't for Yi Li wanting to provide support for Xiao Hui, he would have left long ago. Yun Mu's life and death were completely unrelated to him. All right. After pondering for a few seconds, Yun Mu nodded. Yi Li raised his hand, and a blue spiritual light appeared in his hand. Then, Yi Li placed his palm on Yun Mu's back, and the healing technique began to operate on his palm. A few seconds later, Yi Li slowly said, "Done." As his words fell, Yi Li withdrew his palm. Brat, I thought you had some ability, but now it seems you don't understand medical skills at all. Miracle Physician Bai coldly looked at Yi Li, his eyes revealing a strong sense of disdain. Yi Li smiled. You're like a frog at the bottom of a well. How can you know how high the sky is, and how vast the earth is? What did you say? Miracle Physician Bai stared at Yi Li. Brat, do you know that Miracle Physician Bai came from the Medicine God Hall? An older man coldly shouted. Hee, what are you laughing at? Miracle Physician Bai stared at Yi Li, unable to understand why Yi Li was still able to laugh. Why don't you just take Master Yun's pulse yourself? Yi Li slowly said. Yun Mu only snapped back to his senses at these words. He quickly operated his internal energy, and discovered that the excruciating pain was no longer there. I'm healed. I'm really healed. Yun Mu's pale golden face was filled with joy. Upon hearing these words, everyone looked at Yun Mu in disbelief. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 44. Gene Testing Center. Dad, are you really cured? Yun Man looked at Yun Feng and asked eagerly. Yes, I can operate my techniques now, so I must be cured. Yun Mu smiled and said. Then, Yun Mu looked at Yi Li and quickly cupped his fists. Thank you for saving my life, sir. No need to thank me, Yi Li said slowly. The dozen or so doctors in the hall looked at each other in bewilderment. They thought to themselves, has Master Yun's hidden illness really cured? Miracle Physician Bai was also somewhat dumbfounded. He had been a prominent figure in the medical field of Annan-Bay City for decades, but he had never seen anyone treat a disease like this before. He couldn't believe it, truly couldn't believe it. Master Yun, may I examine your pulse? Miracle Physician Bai looked at Yun Mu and asked. Yun Mu, one of the top 10 powerhouses in Annan-Bay City, naturally knew what Miracle Physician Bai was thinking. Please, Miracle Physician Bai. Yun Mu extended his hand, thinking that if he didn't let Miracle Physician Bai examine his pulse, the latter would never give up. Miracle Physician Bai proceeded to examine Yun Mu's pulse, and the dozen or so doctors stared intently at him. They certainly didn't believe that Yi Li's medical skills were so extraordinary that in just a few seconds, he had cured the hidden ailment that even Miracle Physician Bai couldn't treat. After a few seconds, Miracle Physician Bai froze like a statue. Miracle Physician Bai, how is it? After a long while, Miracle Physician Bai finally came back to his senses. He murmured, Master Yun's hidden ailment is really cured. How is that possible? The dozen or so doctors gasped in astonishment. I didn't expect you to be truly an unparalleled miracle physician. It is truly embarrassing for us. Miracle Physician Bai respectfully said to Yi Li. I am not some unparalleled divine physician. These minor illnesses are not worth my attention. Yi Li said casually. According to the introduction of the healing art, it could treat all illnesses. One could say that he was the #1 miracle physician in this world. May I ask your name, sir? Miracle Physician Bai cupped his fists and asked. Yi Li. Sir Yi Li, one sincerely invite you to serve as the president of Annan-Bay City's Medical Association. Not interested. He really had no interest in becoming the president of any medical association. Miracle Physician Bai felt somewhat awkward, and didn't know how to continue the conversation for a moment. Oh right, Yi Li, let's test Xiao Hui's gene level first, shall we? Malin suddenly spoke up. Upon hearing this, Yili realized that he had forgotten about it. To become an awakened being, one had to have at least a D-class gene. If Xiao Hui's gene could reach the level of an awakened being, it would be a good thing. Let's go. Yili nodded. Then, Yi Li Meilin and Xiao Hui walked out. Wait for me, senior. I'm going too. With that, Yin Man also ran out. Seeing this, Yin Feng followed suit. Mr. Yi, wait for me. Yin Mu also followed suit. Miracle Physician Bai and the dozen or so doctors looked at each other, then nodded in agreement and followed suit. The Gene Testing Center in Ananbei City was called the Gene Testing Center. The Gene Testing Center was located in the center of Ananbei City. When Yili walked in, he found that there was already a long queue inside. To Yili's surprise, as soon as he walked in, it caused a commotion. Who are they? Young Master Yun and Miss Yin actually accompanied them to the Gene Testing Center. The one standing next to them seems to be Yin Mu, the head of the Yin family. Who is Yin Mu? A confused young man asked. Then the young man received many disdainful glances, as they all felt that he was an idiot. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 45. Xiao Hui's genetic talent. Yin Mu, the head of the Yin family, is one of the top 10 powerhouses in Ananbei City. Don't you know? As the saying went, the divine dragon rarely showed its head, and many people had only heard of Yin Mu's name, but had never seen him. Now, upon hearing that someone like Yin Mu has come to the Gene Testing Center, everyone's attention immediately turned towards him. Also, isn't that? Who is it? It seems to be Miracle Physician Bai. As soon as these words were spoken, all the young boys and girls who were queuing up for gene testing were stunned. They couldn't believe that Yi Li and Xiao Hui had such identities, and the head of the Yin family and Miracle Physician Bai were accompanying them personally. Yi Li naturally heard the conversation of these young boys and girls. However, his face remained expressionless, as if he hadn't heard anything. At this moment, a staff member hurriedly approached. Master Yin, Miracle Physician Bai, why are you here? Bring someone for a gene test, Yin Mu said. Master Yin, as one of the top 10 powerhouses in Ananbei City, you have priority privileges. May I know who will be undergoing gene testing? The staff member respectfully asked. Her. Yin Mu looked at Xiao Hui. Xiao Hui felt a little flustered, her heart in turmoil. Miss, please come with me, the staff member said. Yi Li smiled and gently patted Xiao Hui's shoulder. Don't be afraid. Seeing the smile on Yi Li's face, Xiao Hui nodded. Immediately, Xiao Hui and the staff member went to the front. Although some of the young boys and girls were dissatisfied, they couldn't say anything when someone of such status was present. Xiao Hui put her hand on the gene scanner. Genetic talent S-class. A voice came out from the gene scanner, clearly audible throughout the gene testing center. The whole hall instantly erupted in commotion. S-class genetic talent? How is that possible? Life is so unfair. She actually has an S-class genetic talent. Alas dash. Having an S-class genetic talent means unlimited potential for the future. Even Yun Mu and Miracle Dr. Bai were shocked. After all, there were only a few individuals with S-class talents in Ananbei City. They didn't expect another one to appear now, which was undoubtedly a good thing for Ananbei City. Xiao Hui felt a bit scared. She carefully looked at the staff member and asked, Can I become an awakened being? This was like rubbing salt into the wound. The young boys and girls inside the gene testing center wished they could find a hole to hide in. Silly girl, with an S-class genetic talent. Of course you can become an awakened being. Meilin smiled at Xiao Hui. Hearing this, Xiao Hui felt relieved. She thought that if she couldn't become an awakened being, she would become a burden to Yi Li in the future. Yi Li felt gratified. No wonder Bai Wawa wanted to use Xiao Hui as a sex slave. It turned out that Xiao Hui's genetic level was S-class. Thinking of Bai Wawa, Yi Li secretly sneered. Bai Wawa would definitely not let him off. But how could he let Bai Wawa off? Now that he had successfully sent Xiao Hui to Ananbei City, it was time for him to leave. After all, Ananbei City didn't belong to him. The place that belonged to him was zombie paradise. I came quietly, just as I quietly left. I waved my sleeve and took nothing away. Xiao Hui happily ran over. wanting to share this good news with Yi Li, only to find that Yi Li was already gone. "Where is Senior?" Xiaohui murmured. Everyone immediately began searching for Yi Li's whereabouts, but there was no trace of him in the entire gene testing center. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 46. Become a rank 1 evolved being. Yi Li returned to Tongqing, thinking that there should still be many zombies in the city. He planned to clear out Tongqing first. As he expected, there were indeed many zombies in the east district of Tongqing. He commanded several advanced zombies to lure the zombies, while he leisurely sat down with Ada and Hongya standing on either side. Before long, a horde of zombies surged towards them. From this horde, Yi Li synthesized a level 10 male zombie and a level 10 female zombie. That's enough for today. Yi Li found a place to rest. The next day, the system's voice appeared in his mind. Ding, obtain zombie treasure chest X7. Yi Li opened the zombie chests with a single click. Obtain 200 gene points, 200 strength points, 200 speed points, 200 defense points. Congratulations to the host for becoming a rank 1 evolved being. Yi Li thought that he had finally become a rank 1 evolved being. Hard work paid off indeed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a rank 1 evolved being treasure chest. Would you like to open it? Open it. Obtain the skill Flame Blade Technique. Flame Blade Technique, a D-grade skill. After upgrading to S-grade, when executed, it cuts through the air, burning everything in its path. Yi Li thought that he finally had an attack skill. Flame Blade Technique was a perfect match for Dragon Slaying Blade. Immediately, Yi Li fused Flame Blade Technique into it. Today was another wonderful day for synthesizing zombies. After half a day, Yi Li synthesized the level 10 male and female zombies from yesterday into a first-tier male zombie and a first-tier female zombie. Yi Li stood by the window and noticed a dozen people acting suspiciously. These people were all wearing white robes, undoubtedly members of the White Lotus sect. After Bai Wawa escaped back to the White Lotus sect, he must have felt humiliated and enraged. Yi Li thought that he must have come to seek revenge against him. If that's the case, Yi Li would use his best move and engage in a guerrilla warfare with the White Lotus sect. Yi Li went downstairs and found that these dozen White Lotus sect genetic warriors were only advanced awakened beings. "Hey, are you guys looking for someone?" Yi Li shouted at their backs. The dozen or so genetic warriors of the White Lotus sect turned around upon hearing his words. "Brat, how do you know we're looking for someone?" A level 10 awakened being looked at Yi Li and asked. "Because I know where the person you are looking for is." Yi Li slowly said. All the White Lotus sect genetic warriors were taken aback by his words. "Brat, do you really know?" "Of course. Where is the person we're looking for?" Yi Li looked up at the morning sun and slowly said, "Far away, yet right before your eyes." As soon as he said this, the dozen or so people were shocked. Unfortunately, their lives would forever disappear from this world. Ada turned them all into zombies, and Yi Li synthesized them into a level 9 male zombie. Yi Li didn't understand why the level of the awakened beings would drop when they turned into zombies. It was simply unfair. Yi Li walked slowly on the street fearless. As he walked, he continued to synthesize zombies. Before long, he synthesized over 200 level 2 zombies. Tongqing was so large that the members of the White Lotus sect must be scattered in their search for him. Yi Li moved from the East District to the North District, synthesizing over 200 level 2 zombies again. Now he had a total of over 400 level 2 zombies. He wasn't in a hurry to synthesize these 400 plus level 2 zombies. Instead, he led them to search for the genetic warriors of the White Lotus sect. Originally, he intended to engage in guerrilla warfare, but now it seemed unnecessary. Suddenly, Yi Li heard a slight movement. "Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much." Chapter 47. Synthesize a Tier 4 zombie. Yi Li discovered that there were more than 10 genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect ahead of him. At this moment, he was surrounded by over 400 level 2 zombies, completely blending in with them. These 10 or so genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect were all dumbfounded, wondering why so many zombies suddenly surrounded them. "Big brother, what should we do now?" At this point, we can only fight our way out. The 10 or so genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect prepared to charge forward. The corners of Yi Li's mouth curled up slightly as a faint smile appeared on his face. In his opinion, these dozen or so genetic warriors of the White Lotus sect were already dead meat. Roar! Ada leaped forward, delivering a powerful punch. The 10 or so genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect were instantly sent flying and fell to the ground lifeless. Yi Li didn't know how many genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect had arrived, but one thing was certain. No matter how many genetic warriors came, they would all die. After wandering around the North District and not finding any other genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect, Yi Li synthesized over 100 level 2 zombies. He now had a total of over 500 level 2 zombies. And before long, he synthesized them into a Tier 1 male zombie and a Tier 1 female zombie. Now he had 2 Tier 1 male zombies and 2 Tier 1 female zombies. He synthesized them into a Tier 2 male zombie and a Tier 2 female zombie. Yi Li thought about quickly synthesizing Ada and Hongya into Tier 4 zombies. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a random treasure chest. Would you like to open it? Open it. Obtain steel broadsword Zio. Yi Li found it a bit boring. These steel knives were useless. But they still had some utility. They could be synthesized into the dragon-slaying blade. He immediately synthesized the 10 steel knives into the dragon-slaying blade. Recovery progress of the dragon-slaying blade, 10%. After spending a day in the West District, Yi Li arrived in the South District. As soon as Yi Li set foot in the South District, he saw hundreds of zombies roaming the streets. Upon seeing Yi Li, these zombies pounced on him like hungry demons. Yi Li's face was filled with joy. There was a path to heaven, yet you willingly threw yourself into hell. Without a doubt, he synthesized all these hundreds of zombies. Synthesizing zombies wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing for Yi Li was to find the genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect. To Yi Li's disappointment, he didn't find any genetic warriors from the White Lotus sect in the South District. Fortunately, there were still quite a few zombies in the South District. After a few days, Yi Li synthesized a Tier 2 male zombie and a Tier 2 female zombie. He opened his attribute panel in his mind. Host Yi Li. System, Super Synthesis System. Age, 21. Realm, Rank 1 Evolved Being. Weapon, Dragon-Slaying Blade 10%. Zombie, Ada Hongya. Gene Class. Skills, Supporting, Healing Art Attack, Flame Blade Technique. Yi Li realized that after opening all those zombie treasure chests, his genes had finally reached Class A. Without much thought, Yi Li began synthesizing zombies. He now had 2 Tier 2 male and 2 Tier 2 female zombies. A Tier 3 male zombie and a Tier 3 female zombie appeared. Ada and Hongya were both Tier 3 now. He dragged the Tier 3 male zombie onto Ada, turning Ada into a Tier 4 zombie. Then he dragged the Tier 3 female zombie onto Hongya, making her a Tier 4 zombie too. Yi Li looked at Ada and Hongya. Ada stood at 1.9 meters tall, now a Tier 4 male zombie, even more handsome, with his eyes turning blue. Hongya, on the other hand, needed no further explanation. The signs of decay on her face had reduced significantly, and with the added beauty of her fiery red dress, she looked like a princess. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 48. You finally appeared, Master. I can speak a lot more now. Ada looked at Yi Li with excitement. Yi Li couldn't help but smile. This was getting interesting. He was now a Tier 2 evolved being, and Ada and Hongya were both Tier 4 zombies. With this level of power, they could easily dominate Anan Base City. However, Yi Li didn't become arrogant. He knew that Anan Base City was just a small city, and there weren't many strong individuals there. He had heard that there were realms beyond the 10th rank evolved beings, but he didn't know what those realms were yet. Ding! Congratulations, host, for synthesizing 2 Tier 4 zombies. You have obtained a super treasure chest. Yi Li opened the super treasure chest. Obtain zombie skill upgrade points x2. Zombie skill upgrade point. Used to upgrade zombie skills, such as upgrading a D-grade zombie skill to a C grade. Yili smiled. The items in this super treasure chest were indeed extraordinary. Host, would you like to use the zombie skill upgrade points? Yes. Please choose the skill to upgrade. Instantly, the earth-shattering fist, frost chi, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning appeared in Yili's mind. Yili upgraded the earth-shattering fist and the frost chi. The earth-shattering fist and the frost chi were both upgraded to C grade. Yili's face was full of excitement as he realized that Ada and Hongik's power had reached a new level. Hongya, do you think I'm handsome? Yili suddenly asked Hongya. Hongik's face had already regained much of its original appearance, and her exquisite features were suffocatingly beautiful. Master, you are not handsome. Hongya looked at Yili and said seriously, I'm not handsome? Yili was stunned. Back in China, he was renowned for his irresistible charm, captivating the hearts of countless girls who eagerly sought his company. Lady Killer was his title, and handsomeness was his appearance. And now, Hongya was saying he wasn't handsome? Perhaps, zombie aesthetics were different from those of humans. Yili could only console himself in this way. Brat, so you're still in Tongqing after all. Suddenly a voice came. Yili was somewhat familiar with this voice. It was none other than Baiwawa's voice. However, Yili remained calm as still water. You finally appeared. Yili looked at Baiwawa and said slowly, You knew I would come? Baiwawa stared at Yili. Yili smiled. Actually, I've been waiting for you for a long time. You are waiting for me? Baiwawa was taken aback. He couldn't understand why Yili dared to wait for him in Tongqing. Was it because of these two Tier 3 zombies he relied on? Baiwawa suddenly looked at Ada and Hongya. In an instant his heart trembled with fear. 4. Tier 4 zombies? Baiwawa stared in shock at Ada and Hongya. He clearly remembered that they were Tier 3 zombies. So how did they become Tier 4 zombies now? He couldn't believe it, truly couldn't believe it. But the truth was right before his eyes. The eyes of 4th order zombies were blue and easily recognizable. Are you afraid? Yili said casually. Of course, Baiwawa was afraid. These were Tier 4 zombies, not just one but two. Young master, there's no need to panic. I've come. A deep voice sounded, and an elderly man in his 60s appeared before Yili. The old man wore a white robe, and had a slightly thin figure, with eagle-like sharp eyes. A rank 4 evolved being. Yili thought to himself. But how could Baiwawa not panic? He thought that by bringing one of the 4 great elders from his sect, he could seek revenge and settle his grievances. How could he have expected that the 2 zombies by Yili's side would turn into Tier 4 zombies? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 49, Skybinding Rope. Elder Jean, a Tier 4 zombie. Baiwawa exclaimed in shock, looking at the old man. Elder Jean was taken aback, and finally noticed the eyes of Alda and Hongya. Brat, who are you exactly? Elder Jean stared at Yili and questioned. He couldn't understand how a human could control zombies, let alone 2 Tier 4 zombies. At first, Baiwawa told him about someone who could control zombies, and he didn't believe it. But now he had no choice but to believe. I'm someone you can't afford to offend. Yili slowly said. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, Elder Jean burst into laughter, as if he had never heard such a hilarious joke in his entire life. Do you really think 2 Tier 4 zombies can defeat me? Elder Jean looked down upon Yili with extreme disdain. Ada Hongya, you should know what to do, right? Yili said. In an instant, Alda and Hongya launched their attack, moving at an astonishing speed that surpassed human capabilities. Elder Jean struck with a palm, emitting a crimson evil light. Crimson, Elder Jean had level genes. With Elder Jean, Ada, and Hongya standing together, the scene instantly became eerie. Splurt! After a few seconds, Elder Jean spat out a mouthful of blood. Elder Jean violently retreated dozens of meters, his eyes fixed on Alda and Hongya. You forced me to use our sect's most powerful divine weapon. You can be proud of yourselves, Elder Jean coldly spoke. Skybinding rope. With a loud shout, a roulette wheel suddenly appeared on the ground where Ada and Hongya stood. In an instant, 2 spiritual ropes emerged from the roulette, tightly binding Alda and Hongya, all within less than a second. Yili was shocked. The sky-binding rope was something he hadn't anticipated. Ha ha ha. Baiwawa laughed triumphantly. He swore that he had never felt this triumphant before. Yili, now you know how terrifying my White Lotus sect is. Baiwawa gloated, looking at Yi Li with great satisfaction. Baiwawa never expected Elder Jean to bring one of the sect's treasures with him. It was something he hadn't anticipated at all. Brat, although I don't know how you can control these 2 Tier 4 zombies. Now you are as good as dead, Elder Jean said as he stared at Yi Li. Yi Li realized that he had underestimated the heroes of the world. He looked at Ada and Hongya, who were now unable to move, and knew that he was their only hope. However, there was always a way out. Although Yi Li didn't want to reveal the existence of the dragon-slaying blade so soon, now he had no other choice. Immediately, Yi Li took out the dragon-slaying blade from the system space. The dragon-slaying blade was currently restored to 10% of its original state, with much of the rust removed. He believed that since the dragon-slaying blade was one of the 10 great divine artifacts, it should be able to cut through the sky-binding rope. Yi Li, are you an idiot? Are you planning to use this broken blade to cut the sky-binding rope? Baiwawa mocked Yi Li. Elder Jean's face was also filled with disdain. He had thought that Yi Li would be someone extraordinary, but Yi Li actually wanted to use such a broken blade to cut the binding rope. It was truly naive. Yi Li chuckled inwardly, thinking to himself that he would astonish both of them soon. He never expected Elder Jean, and Baiwawa to be so foolish, actually allowing him to cut the sky-binding rope. He walked slowly to Ada and Hongya's side. Then, he aimed the dragon-slaying blade at the sky-binding rope on their bodies, and made 2 swift strikes. Crack! The sky-binding rope, known for being impervious to water and fire, was severed. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 50. Turned Baiwawa into a zombie. Baiwawa and Elder Jean were shocked when they saw the situation. Was the sky-binding rope cut? The sky-binding rope, the #1 treasure of the White Lotus sect, was made of meteor stone, and couldn't be severed by an ordinary blade. Suddenly, Baiwawa and Elder Jean thought of a shocking possibility. The rusty knife in Yi Li's hand was the dragon-slaying blade. Mr. Sure had told them that the dragon-slaying blade was in the vicinity of the Anan base city, and they had been searching for it for many years to no avail. Since the rusty knife in Yi Li's hand could cut the sky-binding rope, what else could it be but the dragon-slaying blade? Yi Li, is that the dragon-slaying blade in your hand? Baiwawa stared at Yi Li and asked. If I say it's not, would you believe me? Yi Li said calmly. Baiwawa narrowed her eyes. I can't believe that the dragon-slaying blade we've been searching for in the White Lotus sect for so long is actually in your hands. Yi Li thought to himself, as expected, exposing the dragon-slaying blade would indeed bring a lot of trouble. But it didn't matter. As the saying went, when the going got tough, the tough got going. He wasn't afraid of anyone in this world. Yes, finally we found the dragon-slaying blade, Elder Jean said, his eyes shining. Aren't you supposed to think about how to save your lives now? Yi Li said slowly. As his words fell, Yi Li gave new orders to Alda and Hongya. Alda and Hongya then flew towards Baiwawa and Elder Jean. Only now did Baiwawa and Elder Jean realize that they were in a dangerous situation. They looked at Alda and Hongya rushing towards them, their faces turning pale. Elder Jean was fast, being a Tier 4 evolved being, so his speed to escape was unquestionable. But Baiwawa was in trouble. How could he outrun Elder Jean? Even if he exerted all his strength, it would be in vain. Alda Hongya turned Baiwawa into a zombie, Yi Li said. Yi Li thought that although Elder Jean had escaped, Baiwawa definitely wouldn't be able to. Baiwawa was knocked to the ground by Alda, and his face was full of shock. Now will you accept being turned into a zombie? Yi Li looked at Baiwawa and said calmly. 1J11 Baiwawa looked at Yi Li in horror. What was the difference between being turned into a zombie and being dead? Not answering means you accept it. Alda begin, Yi Li said. As his words fell, Alda bit into Baiwawa's arm. The speed at which a Tier 4 zombie spread the corpse poison was almost unbelievable. In an instant, Baiwawa turned into a zombie. Yi Li took a look and found that Baiwawa had become a Tier 1 zombie, which was not bad. More importantly, Baiwawa looked cute now. He appeared to be around 7 or 8 years old, fair and clean. After turning into a zombie, his eyes became unfocused. Yili checked Bai Wawa's attributes. Bai Wawa Tier 1 Zombie. Zombie Skill. Absolute Defense Attribute. Defense. Yili was momentarily stunned. He thought that Bai Wawa was quite good. He even automatically obtained a zombie skill. After thinking for a while, Yili felt that Bai Wawa was worth cultivating. He would be his third cultivated zombie. Alas, things were really unpredictable. An old enemy had now become his zombie. Who would believe this? Yili felt a bit idle, so he continued to find zombies to synthesize in the South District of Tongsheng. After 2 days, Yili synthesized Bai Wawa into a Tier 2 zombie, and he had successfully upgraded to a Tier 2 evolved being. The repair progress of the dragon-slaying blade had reached 20%. It wouldn't be long before the dragon-slaying blade would be fully repaired and unleash its true power. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Make this brat hand over the dragon-slaying blade first. The spiritual entity said. Yili's guess was correct. This spiritual entity was indeed a member of the dark race named Shi Yuan. Shi Yuan came to the White Lotus sect for no other reason than to find the dragon-slaying blade. It was said that by collecting the 10 great divine weapons, the shocking secret of the 10 great divine weapons could be discovered. The Dark Race and the Warrior Alliance had been searching for them all along. Brat, hand over the dragon-slaying blade, and you'll have a nice death. Shi Yuan looked at Yili. Do you really trust your own eyes? Yili spoke slowly. What do you mean? Shi Yuan narrowed his eyes. Never trust your own eyes because sometimes your eyes can deceive you. Then Yili activated the swift steps. His speed instantly burst forth, and he had disappeared, leaving no trace behind. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 52, Zombie Paradise Chase. Shi Yuan shouted coldly. He had been in the White Lotus sect for 3 years, and now there was finally the whereabouts of the dragon-slaying blade. How could he let it slip away? Immediately, Shi Yuan, Bai Shan, and the 4 elders of the White Lotus sect began their pursuit. Yili had originally planned to change cities, but now it seemed that he had no choice but to go to the Anan base city. The swift steps were very fast. Yili felt as if a gust of wind was rushing beneath his feet, and he could probably cover a distance of 10,000 steps in a day. But to Yili's disappointment, the effect of the swift steps suddenly disappeared. He had been running randomly earlier, and now he had no idea where he was. He looked behind him, and found that Shi Yuan and the others hadn't caught up with him. He thought to himself, even if they are gods, they won't know where I am. Yili continued walking forward, and before long, he saw 2 large words. Zombie Paradise. Seeing these words, Yili understood that he had arrived at the zombie paradise in Anan base city. I should go in and hide for a while, Yili thought to himself. Immediately, Yili walked towards it. The zombie paradise was similar to a zoo, except that it was filled with zombies. Inside, there were ordinary zombies and advanced zombies, each kept in different areas based on their levels from 1 to IO. Just as Yili was about to enter the zombie park, a staff member stopped him. Do you have a ticket? Yili was taken aback. They required tickets here too? The problem was he didn't have any money on him. In this post-apocalyptic world, where would currency be used? It was truly troublesome. I don't have a ticket, Yili answered honestly. No ticket? Do you think you can enter without one? The staff member looked at Yili disdainfully. Look at you, you're just a poor beggar. Can poor beggars like you enter the zombie paradise? The staff member mocked Yili even more unscrupulously. Yili secretly smiled to himself, thinking that you could encounter such lowly people anywhere. Should he just kill this guy? At this moment, Yili suddenly saw a familiar face. It was none other than Yunfeng. Yunfeng came to the zombie paradise to hunt zombies, accompanied by a few other youths. Before Yili could call out to Yunfeng noticed him. Yunfeng looked at Yili in astonishment. He blinked quickly, feeling like he must be seeing things. Senior, what are you doing here? Yunfeng quickly walked over. He remembered that his sister referred to Yili as senior, And Yili was also his father's savior. It wouldn't be appropriate for him to address Yili by his name directly. I was just passing by and came to take a look, Yili said slowly. The staff was shocked. Young Master Yun actually called him senior? That means he was mocking young Master Yun's senior as a poor beggar just now? Young Master Yun's father Yun Mu was one of the top 10 powerhouses in the Anan-based city, and also the core of power. The highest authority in Anan-based city was the Anan Council, and its 10 core members were composed of the top 10 powerhouses in Anan-based city. Realizing this, the staff member knelt down with a thud. Sir, I was foolish and disrespectful. Please forgive me. The staff member kept bowing and apologizing to Yili. Offending young Master Yun Sr. meant offending young Master Yun as well. Losing his job was a small matter. He could even lose his life. Senior, what's going on? Yun Feng asked Yili in confusion. Perhaps he was tired of standing and wanted to kneel down and rest. Yili slowly replied. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Chapter 53. Zombies attacking Anan-based city. Senior, let's go in. Yun Feng said to Yili. Then, Yili and Yun Feng entered the zombie paradise. There were several zombie paradises in the Anan-based city. The zombie paradise that Yili came in was full of level 1 zombies. Young Master Yun, you're here. After entering the zombie paradise, a staff member hurriedly came up to him. Yun Feng nodded. Arrange guards for me. Want to hunt zombies. Okay, young Master Yin. The staff member quickly replied. Immediately, an advanced awakened being came over. Young Master Yin, shall we go in? The advanced awakened being looked at Yun Feng. Senior, do you want to go in with me? Yun Feng said to Yili. Yili thought for a moment and decided to go in and take a look. After entering the level 1 zombie farm, there was a small town inside. There were zombies walking on the narrow road from time to time. Generally speaking, those who could enter the zombie paradise to hunt zombies were all descendants of the influential clans in the Anan-based city. With the accompaniment of an advanced awakened being, it was even safer. Yun Feng approached a level 1 zombie and blew up its head with a punch, a gruesome sight. Yili smiled faintly and thought to himself, this is truly a delicate flower in a greenhouse. If he wanted to play, he should play something exciting like Yun Man going to Tongqing with her classmates to gain experience. Yun Feng killed more than a dozen level 1 zombies in a row. When there was danger, the zombies were all resolved by the level IO awakened being following Yun Feng. Yili looked a little bored, thinking that it was too boring. Haha, I finally become a level 6 awakened being. Yun Feng's happy voice suddenly entered Yili's ears. A level 6 awakened being could be considered an advanced awakened being. Congratulations, young Master Yin. With young Master Yun's talent, your future achievements will definitely be limitless. The level IO advanced awakened being looked at Yun Feng and said, Yun Feng's genetic talent was grade, and with grade talent, his future achievements would undoubtedly be extraordinary. At this moment, Yun Feng's face was radiant with pride. Roar! Roar! At this moment, the zombies suddenly erupted in a frenzy. More than 500 level 1 zombies in the zombie paradise gathered together. What's going on? Yun Feng exclaimed, shocked by the scene before him. I don't know either. The level 10 awakened being was also shocked. Generally speaking, the enclosed zombies would not gather together, but act individually. Yili felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. Young Master Yun, the zombie tide is attacking the Anan-based city. The zombie paradise is about to close. Please leave quickly. A staff member ran in and looked at Yun Feng in panic. What? Zombies attacked the Anan-based city? Upon hearing this, Yun Feng was thunderstruck. Since its construction, Anan-based city had always coexisted peacefully with zombies. Hearing this news, his face turned pale. Yili was also a little puzzled. Why would the zombies suddenly attack the Anan-based city? Could it be? Yili suddenly thought of a shocking possibility. That was, these zombies were controlled by someone. On the day he obtained the dragon-slaying blade, he guessed that Tongqing had a big boss. But the members of the White Lotus sect were naturally unable to control zombies. So the only possibility was that Mr. Sure. Mr. Sure was from the dark race. It must be him. Chapter 54. Crazy Synthesis. Yi Li and Yin Feng walked out of the zombie paradise, and the person in charge of the zombie paradise hurriedly closed the zombie paradise. Senior, what should we do now? Yin Feng looked at Yi Li in panic and asked. The faces of the youths following Yin Feng turned extremely pale. The zombies attacked the Anan base city. They had never encountered such a thing before. Yi Li thought that Mr. Sure must have thought that he had escaped into the Anan base city, so he sent zombies to attack the city. Unfortunately, others were afraid of zombies, but zombies were like angels in front of him. Let's go back to the Anan base city. Yi Li looked at Yin Feng and said, But senior, now the zombies are attacking the Anan base city. There might be many zombies. Yin Feng said in horror. Are you afraid? Yi Li smiled. Yin Feng felt terrible. How could he not be afraid? How many zombies would there be if they could even attack a base city? However, seeing that Yi Li had made up his mind, he finally gathered his courage, looked at Yi Li and said firmly, I'm not afraid. Immediately, Yi Li, Yin Feng, and a few youths headed for the Anan base city. They hurried along the way and finally arrived at the outer city of the Anan base city. At this moment, there were countless zombies under the outer city. There were too many of them, like black clouds pressing down. The laser cannons on the city wall fired crazily, but the laser cannons needed to be charged. The soldiers could only shoot the zombies with their laser guns. But these zombies were not afraid of death, and crawled crazily towards the city wall. Yin Feng and the youths were dumbfounded. They had never seen such a scene before. Senior, Before Yin Feng finished speaking, he was interrupted by Yi Li. Just watch me, Yi Li said slowly. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Li released Alda and Hongya from the system space. Master! Alda and Hongya shouted in unison. Oh my god! Yin Feng and the youths looked at the zombies that suddenly appeared beside them, and sat on the ground in fright, their faces filled with fear. Yi Li naturally ignored their horror. Instead, he looked at Alda and Hongya and said, Alda, Hongya, attack! Suddenly, Alda and Hongya began to charge at the zombies at the periphery of the array. How could these ordinary zombies resist the terrifying power of Tier 4 zombies? Yi Li looked around and found a big rock. He sat on the big rock, opened the synthesis grids in his mind, and then began synthesizing. Every time a zombie fell, he would synthesize it. Alda and Hongya moved through tens of thousands of zombies, as if they were in an empty space. In just 10 minutes, Yi Li had synthesized more than 500 level 2 zombies. Yi Li was excited, thinking that it was really a blessing in disguise this time. Yin Feng and the youths froze on the spot as if petrified, because they saw a scene that they would never believe. They saw zombies fighting zombies. Yi Li continued to synthesize zombies, and the White Lotus sect and Sure Yuan didn't find them. In a day and a night, Yi Li synthesized more than 3,000 level 2 zombies. The next day, the zombie siege continued. Yi Li was still synthesizing zombies. This time, wouldn't he make a fortune? Yin Feng and the youths were shocked beyond words. In the past day and night, they couldn't remember how many times they had rubbed their eyes. But no matter how they rubbed their eyes, the answer was the same. The zombies were really fighting the zombies. Chapter 55. All the zombies are gone. Master Kong Lin, we can't hold on anymore. Kong Lin, the strongest person in the Anan base city, was a level 5 evolved being. At this moment, the top 10 powerhouses of the Anan base city were all supervising the battle on the city wall of the outer city. Yinmu was a little surprised. President, look, the zombies are fighting against each other. As soon as he said this, the 9 powerhouses looked at Yinmu, as if looking at a fool. They wondered if Yinmu was crazy. How could zombies fight against each other? But when they looked down the city wall, they were all shocked. Yinmu was right. The zombies were really fighting against each other. What's going on? Kong Lin was shocked. At this moment, Yi Li had synthesized more than 6,000 level 2 zombies. He had already synthesized all the zombies attacking the Anan base city. He hurriedly asked the zombies to retreat, or they would become live targets for the soldiers in the outer city of the Anon base city. The zombies retreated to a primitive forest, and Yili naturally followed. Yunfeng wanted to follow him, but Yili certainly wouldn't let him. In the primitive forest, Yili looked at the more than 6,000 level 2 zombies in front of him excitedly. More than 6,000 level 2 zombies meant 12 tier 1 zombies. That was equivalent to 3 tier 3 zombies. Yili combined the more than 6,000 level 2 zombies into 2 tier 3 male zombies and 1 tier 3 female zombie. Ding! Congratulations, host, for obtaining a chance to draw a random prize. Yili thought that when luck came, it simply couldn't be stopped. Randomly, he opened the roulette wheel in his mind. The needle began to spin in the roulette wheel, and a few seconds later it stopped. Congratulations to the host for obtaining fine iron sword Zayu. Yili's handsome face showed a hint of boredom. He had thought that he would get some divine object, but it turned out to be this. Without thinking too much, he fused the fine iron swords into the dragon-slaying blade. Dragon-slaying blade. Repair progress 50%. Yili checked the dragon-slaying blade and found that half of the rust on the blade had fallen off, revealing the beauty that a peerless treasure should possess. The zombies have really retreated? Kong Lin couldn't believe it. I think so. Yunmu was also a little stunned. The zombies were so ferocious when they attacked the city yesterday. Why did they suddenly retreat? We must not let our guard down. These zombies might launch a surprise attack again. Kong Lin said. The other 9 nodded, their full attention focused on the distance. They waited for an entire afternoon, but the zombies didn't come back. After giving instructions to the city defense generals, the top 10 powerhouses of the Anon base city retreated from the city wall. The news of the zombie attack on the Anon base city spread like a typhoon passing through. The residents of Anon base city soon learned about it, and the entire city was filled with fear, afraid that the city would be breached. Mr. Sure, the zombies are all gone. Bai Shan looked at Shi Yuan and said, What? What did you say? Shi Yuan widened his eyes. The zombies attacking the Anon base city are all gone, Bai Shan continued. That's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Shi Yuan roared in anger. He had drawn out several cities worth of zombies for the attack on Anon base city. But in just one day and one night they were all gone. Mr. Shi, what should we do now? Bai Shan asked Shi Yuan. Shi Yuan gritted his teeth. After a few seconds, he squeezed out a sentence from between his teeth. I'm going to Anon base city. As soon as he finished speaking, Shi Yuan disappeared from the spot. Chapter 56. Someone fell for Xiao Hui. Yili put the synthesized zombies into the system space and came out of the primitive forest, only to find that Yunfeng was still there. Senior, you're finally out. Yunfeng was very happy to see Yili. Yili didn't expect Yunfeng to still be waiting for him here, which touched him. Let's enter the city, Yili said to Yunfeng. Yunfeng nodded, and then Yili and Yunfeng entered the outer city of the Anon base city. After entering the outer city, Yili thought that the zombies wouldn't enter the Anon base city for the time being, so he headed straight to the main city. He wanted to go to see Xiao Hui. This little girl hadn't seen him for a few days. She was probably missing him. When he arrived at the main city of the Anon base city, he found that there were very few people on the street. Where is everyone? Yunfeng asked, puzzled. Anon base city used to be bustling with people. They must be hiding at home, afraid to come out. Considering the zombie attack on Anon base city, Yili said slowly. Hearing this, Yunfeng understood and couldn't help but admire Yili even more. His admiration for him was like a surging river, flowing endlessly. By the way, Senior, I saw that the zombies had all entered the forest, so did you? Why did you enter the forest? Yunfeng looked at Yili curiously. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask, Yili said slowly. Yunfeng hurriedly stopped talking, afraid of displeasing Yili. By the way, Senior, I'm going to the Anon Academy now. Do you want to go with me? Yunfeng looked at Yili and asked a few seconds later. Okay. Yili nodded. The Anon Academy was the largest genetic warrior academy in the Anon base city. Just as Yili and Yunfeng were about to set off, they heard the sound of a loudspeaker echoing throughout the city. Residents of the Anan base city. The zombies attacking the Anan base city have retreated. Please don't be afraid. The voice from the loudspeaker was that of Kong Lin, the president of the Anan Council, and the highest-ranking officer in Anan base city. Yay yay! In an instant, the entire city erupted with excitement. The cheering was earth-shattering, truly touching. Yili thought to himself, if it weren't for me, would the zombies have retreated? This is what they call doing good without leaving a name. Without much thought, Yili and Yunfeng arrived outside the Anan Academy. The Anan Academy was indeed huge. At this moment, the students inside were discussing spiritedly. It was obvious that they were discussing the zombie attack. Let's go in, Yunfeng said to Yili. Yili nodded, and then entered the Anan Academy with Yunfeng. Yunfeng was an absolute star in Anan Academy, a handsome and wealthy young man, who was the dream lover of many girls. Along the way, there were many boys and girls greeting Yunfeng. Senior, are you going to find Xiaohui? Yunfeng asked. Okay, take me there. Yili nodded. But Senior, Xiaohui is. Yunfeng didn't continue. He looked at Yili carefully. What's wrong with Xiaohui? Yili asked. Xiaohui was the first woman he ever liked, and his first love. If anyone hurt Xiaohui, he could guarantee that the person would die a horrible death. Senior, someone is pursuing Xiaohui. Yunfeng said in a low voice. Yili secretly smiled, thinking that Xiaohui was indeed charming. In just a few days, someone was already pursuing her, which was quite good. The person pursuing Xiaohui is the #1 talent in Anan Academy, named Chun Yun. His father is Chun Ba, the second strongest person in Anan base city. Yunfeng continued. Chapter 57. You seem to have a lot to say. Yili seemed to have heard the name Chun Yun somewhere before. After thinking for a few seconds, he remembered. Wasn't Chun Yun the senior of Yun man he met in Taching? This was getting interesting. That day, he asked Ada to punch Chun Yun. So Chun Yun must hold a grudge, and he wondered how their encounter would unfold this time. Then, Yunfeng took Yili to a classroom. The students in the classroom varied in height and build, each with their own unique features. Senior, Xiaohui is in this class, but Yunfeng looked around and found that Xiaohui was not in the classroom at the moment, nor was her sister. Hey, young Master Yun. I heard that you went to the zombie paradise and happened to encounter the zombie attack on Anan base city. I thought you wouldn't make it back. A gloating voice reached Yili's ears. Yili followed the voice, and saw a 16 or 17-year-old boy with an unruly look on his face. Emo-chun, what did you say? Yunfeng stared at Emo-chun. Oh, getting angry now, huh? The boy named Emo-chun sneered. Emo-chun was also a prominent figure in the Anan Academy, and one of the 3 geniuses of the Anan Academy. His father was naturally also one of the core members of the Anan Council. Emo-chun, don't get too cocky. Yunfeng clenched his fist tightly. Oh, our young Master Yun is angry. Young Master Yun, do you want to hit me? Emo-chun taunted even more arrogantly. Yunfeng gritted his teeth, but he had just become a level 6 awakened being, while Emo-chun was a level 8 awakened being, making the gap in their strength quite significant. The students in the classroom looked at each other, not daring to intervene. They even held their breaths. Both Yunfeng and Emo-chun's fathers were core members of the Anan Council, and offending them was not something they could afford. Young Master Yun, do you want to help your friend take a shortcut? Emo-chun's gaze shifted to Yili. Emo-chun, you can insult me, but you can't insult my senior. Yunfeng said firmly. Senior. Emo-chun showed a mocking smile. Emo-chun scrutinized Yili from head to toe, and then his disdain reached its peak. Young Master Yin, have you gone crazy? It seems that your senior is just an ordinary person. Yili secretly smiled. He was now a Tier 2 evolved being. How could such a small fry see through his true strength? Emo-chun, Yunfeng's eyes were filled with raging fury. Young Master Yin, not to mention you, even your sister Yun Man is no match for me. Emo-chun continued. Chun Yun, Emo-chun, and Yun Man were the 3 geniuses of Anan Academy. Chun Yun was a level 9 awakened being. Emo-chun was a level 8 awakened being, and Yun Man was a level 7 awakened being. You seem to have a lot to say? Yili looked at Emo-chan and said lightly. Emo-chan was stunned. He looked at Yili in disbelief, feeling like he had misheard. How could this ordinary person dare to say that he talks too much? Brat, do you know who I am? Emo-chan stared at Yili and said coldly. Oh, who are you? Yili smiled faintly. My name is Emo-chan. I'm one of the 3 geniuses of the Anin Academy. My father is a core member of the Anin Council, and one of the top 10 powerhouses in the Anin-based city. Emo-chan's face was filled with pride as he mentioned his father. Is that so? Yili responded slowly. What did you say? Emo-chan was astonished. Not only Emo-chan, but even the students in the classroom were shocked beyond words. Chapter 58. Vice President of the Anin Academy, a core member of the Anin Council, one of the top 10 powerhouses in the Anin-based city, was actually being dismissed as insignificant? You must understand that this is an existence they can only look up to. Brat, are you tired of living? Emo-chan stared coldly at Yili and spoke with a chilling tone. You think you're qualified to say such things to me? Yili said calmly. As soon as he said this, all the students in the classroom were dumbfounded. In their eyes, Yili was just an ordinary person, and they knew exactly what would happen if someone offended Emo-chan. Good, since you want to die, I'll let you experience the meaning of unbearable pain. As soon as he finished speaking, Emo-chan threw a punch at Yili. Yili shook his head slightly. An ant was an ant, never knowing how vast and expansive the world was. All. Just as Emo-chan's fist was about to hit Yili, Emo-chan suddenly flew backward and landed heavily on the ground. Shocked, utterly shocked. The students in the classroom didn't see Yili make a move at all, yet Emo-chan was lying on the ground. Could it be? All the students suddenly thought of a shocking possibility that Yili was an evolved being. With this possibility in mind, the students widened their eyes. Evolved being. This was an evolved being. Emo-chan struggled to get up from the ground with all his strength, his previously dignified face now covered in a layer of thick dust. He glared at Yili fiercely. You, how dare you hit me? Why wouldn't I dare? Yili's face remained indifferent. Just you wait. Emo-chan uttered a threat and left the classroom. Yili smiled, thinking, let's wait and see what kind of trick Emo-chan has up his sleeve. Senior, should we go? Yin-feng suddenly whispered. Although Emo-chan was sent flying in an instant just now, which shocked him, Emo-chan's uncle was the deputy president of the Anin Academy. Let's wait. No rush. Yili slowly said. But senior, Emo-chan's uncle. Yin-feng hadn't finished speaking when a harsh voice interrupted him. Uncle, it was him who hit me. Yin-feng was startled. He realized that Emo-chan had gone to find his uncle, but he didn't expect him to arrive so quickly. Upon hearing this, Yili turned slowly and saw a middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looking cultured and refined. He thought to himself that the Anin-based city was still too small. The strongest was only a Tier 5 evolved being, and this elegant middle-aged man in front of him was a Tier 3 evolved being. Are you the one who beat Xiaochen? The middle-aged man looked at Yili and asked. Yes, Yili said lightly. You arrogant young man, the middle-aged man said coldly. The middle-aged man's name was Emo-1, and he was the deputy president of the Anin Academy. You don't seem to be a student of the Anin Academy, right? Emo-1 adjusted his glasses and said, It seems that you are not blind. Yili said slowly. What did you say? Emo-1 stared at Yili. I see that you're nothing more than. Emo-1 suddenly stopped talking and looked at Yili in shock. A Tier 2 evolved being. Emo-1 suddenly exclaimed. As soon as he said this, all the students in the classroom were stunned. They had guessed that Yili was an evolved being, but they could never have imagined that Yili was a Tier 2 evolved being. Chapter 59. Feel her heart palpitate. All the students in the classroom looked at Yili in shock. Yili looked to be in his 20s, but he had become a Tier 2 evolved being. This talent was really terrifying. Brat, even if you are a Tier 2 evolved being, you can't come to the Anin Academy as you please. Emo-1 stared at Yili and shouted. I've been to places as dangerous as the Dragon's Pool and Tiger's Den, and an academy is nothing compared to that, Yili said calmly. Arrogant, absolutely arrogant. You're quite arrogant, brat, Imowen said coldly. Suddenly, a woman walked into the classroom. The woman had a tall figure, and her emerald hair made her look exceptionally beautiful. She wore a flowing floral dress and a pair of expensive high heels. Vice President Imo, what are you doing here? Malin looked at Imowen's back in confusion. Imowen turned around and looked at Malin, saying, Malin, you came at the right time. There's a troublemaker in Anan Academy. Given my status, if one were to deal with him, it would be bullying him. 111 leave him to you. A troublemaker? Who? Malin asked, puzzled. Yili turned around and looked at Malin indifferently. I'm the troublemaker he's talking about. Do you think him a troublemaker? Yili? Malin was very stunned. She could never have imagined that Yili would appear in the Anan Academy. At the gene testing center, Yili suddenly disappeared. She had thought that it would take a long time for her to see Yili again, but she never expected him to appear before her eyes. Do you know seven each other? Imowen was a little stunned. Uncle, he hit me just now. You must avenge me. Imo-chun fanned the flames again. Shut up. Imowen silenced Imo-chun. Malin smiled sweetly. Well, Vice President Imo Yili once saved my life, so this time. Before Malin could finish speaking, she was interrupted by Imowen. Since you're Ms. Malin's savior, I'll let you off this time. With that, Imowen pulled Imo-chun away. The students in the classroom were all shocked. Yili once saved Ms. Malin's life? But Ms. Malin was a Tier 3 evolved being. Where is Xiaohui? Yili looked at Malin. Yun Man knew that Yun Feng went to the zombie paradise, and the zombies happened to be attacking the city. She might have secretly left the city. Malin remembered that Yun Man and Xiaohui left in a hurry. Yili pondered for a few seconds and then walked out. Where are you going? Malin quickly followed him. She didn't know how to describe her feelings for Yili, but being with him gave her a pleasant feeling. Uncle, why did you let him off the hook? Imo-chun looked at Imowen dissatisfied. Malin has a good background. We can't touch that kid easily. Imowen adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and said, his eyes filled with darkness. Yili, are you planning to leave the city? Malin asked Yili. You just said that Xiaohui and Yun Man might have left the city. Yili slowly said. It was currently in turmoil outside the city. Not only were there zombies, but there were also people from the White Lotus sect. Malin was a teacher at the Anan Academy. She had a special pass to leave the city, so it was easy for her to leave the city. After leaving the city, Yili didn't know how to find Xiaohui and Yun Man. He had to depend on luck. Perhaps in Tongcheng? Following his intuition, Yili headed towards Tongcheng. Malin followed closely behind. For some reason, she felt her heart palpitate as she followed Yili. Chapter 60. Anan Council, Anan Base City, Anan Council. On this day, the Anan Council was conducting a review of the recent zombie siege. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Then a staff member came in. Master Yun, someone asked me to give you this letter. Yunmu was a little puzzled. He took the letter. The other 9 core members of the Anan Council all looked at Yunmu, eager to know the contents of the letter. Yunmu opened the letter, only to see a mass of black gas rising. This mass of black gas slowly formed a phantom. Sure Yuan, Kong Lin said coldly. Esteemed members of the Anan Council, it has been several years. How have you all been? The phantom chuckled. Sure Yuan, I presume this zombie siege was your doing? Indeed, Master Kong, you hit the nail on the head. Kong Lin was the president of the Anan Council, and the strongest person in the Anan Base City, a Tier 5 evolved being. By the way, my lords, I have 2 people in my custody now. One of them seems to be Master Yun's daughter. Upon hearing this, all 10 core members of the Anan Council lost their cool. Sure Yuan, what are you saying? Yunmu stared at the phantom and shouted. Master Yun seems to be very angry. Yunmu slammed the table and shouted angrily. Sure Yuan, what do you want? Not much. I just want you to hand over a person. Who? Yili. Yili. Except for Yunmu. The name Yili meant nothing to the other 9 core members of the Anin Council. What do you want with Yili? Yunmu stared at the phantom and asked coldly. Master Yin, there's no need to ask further. Just bring Yili to Tongcheng, and your daughter will naturally return to your side safely. Otherwise, you know the consequences. With those words, the phantom disappeared. Yunmu quickly dialed Yunfeng's communicator. Xiaofeng, is your sister at Anin Academy? Dad's sister and Xiaohui might have left the city. They should be back soon. Upon hearing this, Yunmu seemed to age 10 years in an instant. He hung up the communicator. This world was huge, and Yili might have left this area. How could he find him? Master Yin, who is Yili? Emosher looked at Yunmu and asked. Emosher, Emo Chen's father, was a Tier 4 evolved being. Yunmu recounted how he came to know Yili, and how he had cured his illness. Master Yin, it seems that Yili has left the Anin base city? Emosher asked. It seems so. Yunmu nodded. Humph. Emosher suddenly coldly snorted. I don't know what Yili did, but he has offended Shi Yuan, causing the zombie siege and damaging our Anin base city. It's an unforgivable crime. Master Emo, shouldn't we be discussing how to rescue Master Yun's daughter now? Kong Lin said. President, just as Shi Yuan made clear, he wants Yili. Now that we can't find him, how do we save Master Yun's daughter? Moreover what? Moreover, isn't it too risky to start a war with the White Lotus sect? Emosher said slowly. Yunmu stared at Emoshan. Emoshan, are you suggesting that my daughter should die? Master Yun, no one wants your daughter to die, but this is a critical period. Anin Base City has millions of residents, and the purpose of establishing the Anin Council is to protect them. Here, I'd like to ask Lord Yun a question. Is your daughter's life more important than others' lives? As Emosher spoke, the atmosphere instantly became heavy. Emosher, would you say the same if it were your son being held hostage? Yunmu said coldly. Yes, I would. I, Emosher, have dedicated my whole life to Anin Base City. Anin Base City is above all else. Emosher responded calmly. You. At this moment, Chunba spoke up. Chunba was the vice president of the Anin Council, Chun Yun's father, a Tier 5 evolved being. Everyone, let's vote. The other core members of the Anin Council all nodded, agreeing with the suggestion. Immediately, the 10 core members of the Anin Council began voting. Yunmu and Kong Lin 2 votes. Chunba and Emosher 8 votes. With 8 votes to 2, the outcome was clear. Haha. Yunmu let out a cold laugh. Since you choose not to save her, I'll save her myself. With that, Yunmu got up and left the Anin Council chamber. His last encounter with the people of the White Lotus sect was in the East District, so he headed towards the East District. When he and Malin arrived at the East District, it was very quiet, so quiet that it was a little scary. Yili, I feel that something is wrong, Malin said warily. Yili nodded. It seemed that he came to the right place. Shi Yuan and Baishan must be in the East District. Yili, you've indeed come. A voice sounded. As the voice fell, Elder Jean, one of the 4 elders of the White Lotus sect, appeared in front of Yili. It seems like you knew I would come? Yili looked at Elder Jean. His intuition told him that Xiaohui and Yun Man were likely captured. Hee. Mr. Shi used the Dark Phantom to go to the Anin Council. He asked Yunmu to hand you over. Aren't you brought here by Yunmu? Elder Jean sneered. Take me to see your master, Yili said slowly. Elder Jean sneered. Yili, I really admire you. It seems that you can always remain calm. With that, Elder Jean led Yili and Xiaohui towards a certain place. Chapter 62. Hand over the dragon-slaying blade. Elder Jean took Yili and Xiaohui to an abandoned factory. Coincidentally, Yili had been to this factory before. It was where he first met Xiaohui. At this moment, there were several evolved beings of the White Lotus sect guarding outside the factory. Once inside the factory, Yili noticed that Xiaohui and Yun Man were bound with ropes and gagged with a piece of cloth. Woo-woo! Unable to speak, Xiaohui and Yun Man, could only make whimpering sounds upon seeing Yi Li's arrival. Hee hee, Yi Li, you finally arrived, Shi Yuan said as he looked at Yi Li. Now that I'm here, release Xiao Hui and Yun Man, Yi Li demanded. Shi Yuan, being a member of the dark race, had a soul-like body. Upon hearing Yi Li's words, Shi Yuan burst into a sneering laughter. Yi Li, do you think I'm an idiot? Show me the dragon-slaying blade. Hearing this, Malin couldn't help but widen her beautiful eyes. The dragon-slaying blade was actually on Yi Li. She came to the Anan-based city from the Warrior Alliance to find the dragon-slaying blade. Never in her wildest dreams did she expect to find it in Yi Li's possession. Yi Li smiled and took out the dragon-slaying blade from the system space. A blade gleaming with a cold light appeared in Yi Li's hand. It looked incredibly sharp, capable of cutting through hair effortlessly. As Shi Yuan gazed at the blade in Yi Li's hand, a greedy look crossed his face. Dragon-slaying blade, such a sharp weapon, truly deserving of its name. I never thought I would actually find the dragon-slaying blade, he exclaimed. With that, Shi Yuan laughed ferociously. The 10 great divine weapons were all ancient weapons. Xianyuan sword, dragon-slaying blade, Eastern Emperor bell, Pangu axe, demon purification pot, heavenly tower, Fushi zither, Shinnon cauldron, Kongtong seal, and Kunlun mirror. Apart from the dragon-slaying blade, the other 9 divine weapons had all made appearances. But the dragon-slaying blade had remained unseen for thousands of years. Yi Li now knew that the dragon-slaying blade was not the dragon-slaying blade depicted in the martial arts dramas, but one of the ancient divine weapons. Dragons were the first and most powerful royal clan in ancient times, and the dragon-slaying blade could kill dragons. Legend had it that gathering all 10 great divine weapons would reveal an earth-shattering secret hidden within them. However, no one knew what that secret actually was. Yi Li, hand over the dragon-slaying blade, Shi Yuan demanded, staring at Yi Li. Release Xiao Hui and Yun Man first, Yi Li calmly replied. Do you think I will believe you? Shi Yuan sneered. Yi Li smiled. Now that things have come to this point, what are you afraid of? And with the knife now, are you afraid that he'll run away? I'm indeed afraid that you'll run away, because your speed is too fast. Yi Li used the swift steps that day. That speed made Shi Yuan really unable to trust Yi Li. But how can I trust you? Yi Li said slowly. Yi Li, you should know that I came here for the purpose of finding the dragon-slaying blade. Yi Li pondered for a few seconds, and then looked at Shi Yuan. Okay, I'll hand over the dragon-slaying blade to you now. Then Yi Li slowly walked to Shi Yuan's side, and handed the dragon-slaying blade to him. Shi Yuan's hands trembled, his eyes burning with excitement, as he carefully accepted the dragon-slaying blade. Dragon-slaying blade. I've finally found the dragon-slaying blade. Yi Li smiled inwardly. Now you can release Xiao Hui and Yun Man, right? Release them. At this moment, Bai Shan, the leader of the White Lotus sect, spoke. Yi Li, my son has turned into a zombie, and now you want me to release them? Bai Shan said coldly. Chapter 63. The dragon-slaying blade is fake. Malin looked at Yi Li's back, and was very nervous. For some reason, she was more worried about Yi Li than the dragon-slaying blade. She had received her father's order to come here, to find the dragon-slaying blade. Her purpose was to find the dragon-slaying blade. Yi Li looked at Bai Shan. Bai Shan, I had already guessed that you wouldn't release them. However, Yun Man is Yun Mu's daughter. I don't think your White Lotus sect wants to be enemies with Anan Base City, right? Release Xiao Hui and Yun Man, and 111 stay here. You just want revenge, right? Yi Li slowly said. During his time in Wuxia, Yi Li was not particularly brave. The previous Yi Li was afraid of the dark, and even more afraid of ghosts. But now, the current Yi Li stood tall and fearless. Although it was only his personal belief. Sect Master, one think Yi Li is right. If we kill them, we will definitely make enemies with Anan Base City, and it will be more trouble than it's worth. Elder Jean looked at Bai Shan and said. Bai Shan pondered for a few seconds and then nodded. Release them. With Bai Shan's order, the ropes on Xiao Hui and Yun Man were untied, and the white cloth in their mouths was taken off. Senior, Xiao Hui and Yun Man shouted in unison. Yi Li smiled faintly. He turned around and looked at Mei Lin. Take them away. Mei Lin was shocked. Was Yi Li planning to face this alone? This could mean certain death. No. Senior, I want to be with you. Xiao Hui hurriedly said. Don't worry. It'll be fine. Yi Li stroked Xiao Hui's head. Xiao Hui and Yun Man were already teary-eyed. They knew that they would only be a burden to Yi Li if they stayed here. They left with Mei Lin, their eyes full of reluctance, an immeasurable amount of reluctance. Yi Li, you can die now. Bai Shan shouted coldly. With that, Bai Shan was about to attack. Wait. Yi Li suddenly said. Bai Shan stopped. Yi Li, what else do you have to say? Instead of looking at Bai Shan, Yi Li turned his gaze towards Shi Yuan. Mr. Shi, do you think the dragon-slaying blade in your hand is real? Shi Yuan trembled upon hearing this. He quickly looked at the cold knife in his hand, which appeared incredibly sharp. Yi Li, what do you mean? Shi Yuan hurriedly asked. Yi Li smiled faintly. Mr. Shi, the dragon-slaying blade is one of the 10 great divine weapons. Do you think the knife in your hand is worthy of being the dragon-slaying blade? Yes. The knife in Shi Yuan's hand was the cold iron knife that Yi Yuan obtained from the mysterious treasure chest. Unfortunately, Yi Li didn't expect Shi Yuan to be this stupid. By the way, the knife that cut the sky-binding rope that day was a rusty knife, Elder Jean suddenly said. You fool, why didn't you say that earlier? Shi Yuan roared almost crazily. Yi Li, hand over the dragon-slaying blade. Shi Yuan stared at Yi Li intensely. Yi Li looked up, then glanced down at his feet, and spoke slowly. Do you think 111 listened to you? Yi Li, if you don't hand over the dragon-slaying blade, one guarantee that you will die a miserable death. Shi Yuan roared. Yi Li smiled again. I also want to hand over the dragon-slaying blade, but it has already been taken by Mo Shi. After all, he had stayed in the Anan-based city for a few days, so he naturally knew who the top 10 core members of the Anan Council were. When he was in Anan Academy, Mo Shi's son, Mo Chen, offended him. Now he could return the favor. Mo Shi. Shi Yuan stared at Yi Li. Yes. Yi Li nodded. Tell Mo Shi to bring the dragon-slaying blade here now, or you will die a miserable death. Shi Yuan roared. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.